Well, hi everyone, this is Deb.
And this is Beth.
And we wanted to take a moment to tell you about Dying to be Found. Beth.
Yeah?
If you were to describe our true crime podcast, what would you say?
Well, I tell people that our podcasts are not just about high-profile murder cases. We also try to delve into stories that we think our listeners can relate to. Deb, how would you describe Dying to be Found?
I like to tell people that our podcast is open to the interpretation of our listeners. We also talk about missing persons who are dying to be found. But then again, there are criminals that are dying to be found. We're always open to whatever stories we report and really want our listeners to take an active role in why we do this. You can listen to brand new episodes every Thursday, wherever you get your podcasts. And please visit us at our website at dyingtobefound.com and on social media at Dying to Be Found.
The subject of today's episode is one of the most famous and infamous devices ever created. To inflict pain more than death, a seemingly simple ball of steel shaped like a fruit that can be inserted into any number of bodily orifices, and then spread apart with the use of springs and screws to do maximum damage. With its origins being muddy at best, we'll follow its trajectory from a tool for criminals to collect ransom, to a device of torment to collect information, or to just inflict pain for pain's sake. Being used on witchy women, black slaves, known liars, or gay men, it would become the terror of Europe, the Atlantic Ocean, and possibly even America. Going by a few names like Cololi's Gag or the Choke Pear, we will separate as best we can fact from myth. Today, we cover the Pear of Anguish. I'm Kevin Young.
And I'm Dan Horgan.
And this is Torture. Oh, fucking hell.
Going to cover some painful fruit salad today.
Uh-huh. So what do you got going on?
I'm a bit sick today, so that's kind of my thing. I'm kind of smothering a little bit, so I might sound a little bit nasally, and I apologize in advance then that you might have to edit out sniffles and maybe the odd little cough.
I edit out so much fucking mouth noise from this goddamn from me. I edit out plenty from your side of just ambient noise and a ton of mouth noise from me. So trust me, it'll be fine.
I have a habit of just randomly sniffling anyway, because I had so many years of bad sinus issues that it became a habit. It's a habit I really have to try even harder to break, because I reduce it down massively compared to what it used to be.
Yeah.
But you don't realize how bad it is until you listen to yourself back in audio.
So, yeah. I say a lot of things over and over and over again that I was like, God damn, I didn't realize I said so much, but apparently I do.
I say, you know what I mean? An awful lot. My wife has pointed that out to me.
Oh,
do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
Do you know what I mean?
She's just like, no, Dan, God damn it, I don't know what you fucking mean. So,
it's constant.
Right before we started recording, you said you looked up Coke Pear instead of Choke Pear. And that got us talking about a pear made out of Coke. And I had to ask, have you seen the trailer for Cocaine Bear yet?
I saw some of the trailer and then I stopped because I wanted to watch it with the wife and show it to her, but I forgot to show it to her. So it looks fantastic. So a part of that was filmed in Ireland as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, I saw something to do with an article saying about talking to the director about filming something to do with Cocaine Bear in Ireland or something. Yeah. But I'll have to double check. I don't want to be stating things as if they're fact and they're bullshit. But that's kind of what I do here. So
yeah, Elizabeth Banks directed it. Apparently, she did the Pitch Perfect movies and a couple other things, and she's a movie star.
That's a far stretch.
Yeah, but I don't know if anybody out there knows, or you, Dan, know the story, but apparently a few years back, a bear got into some coke that was left in the woods and ate it and went on a fucking rampage. I don't know if he killed as many people as what it looks like he kills in the trailer, but I was like, holy shit, somebody made... And I thought it was going to be like that new Winnie the Pooh horror movie that's getting ready to come out. Like,
What?
Yeah, they made a horror movie, Winnie the Pooh and Piglet and all them.
Mm.
You didn't know that?
Nice. Winnie the Pooh sounds like a bit of a pervert anyway. He sounds like that creepy old man that you wouldn't want to let your kids go near.
Donald ducking it everywhere. Yeah.
It's like, hey kids. Ugh.
No, I did the exact same thing. I saw a little bit of it, but my wife was sitting right next to me. I saw maybe 30 seconds of it, and I stopped it, and I go, you got to watch this fucking thing. And we both watched it, and she looks at me with her big, wide open eyes and mouth. She goes, oh, we got to see that. I know. It looks great. So if you haven't yet, go look up the trailer for Cocaine Bear. It looks like a good time. The only problem is I hate movies that, well, I hate trailers for movies that give away like 90% of the movie. I don't know if we talked about this before, but and when you watch it, it's like so many people that die in the movie are shown in the trailer dying. That I hate that. Like, it's like, don't show me everything. Fuck.
Yeah, it's like there's the film, I think it's called The Good Guys or something like that, isn't it? Is it called The Good Guys with
Ryan Gosling? I
think.
And,
is it The Good Guys? The Nice Guys? Is it? I think it's called The Nice Guys because there's that.
Yeah, I think that's The Nice Guys. The Good Guys is the one
Nice
with
Guys.
Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg, if I remember right.
Yeah. That's The Other Guys, I think.
The Other Guy, that's right.
Yeah, so that's what's kind of getting me confused. But anyway, yeah, so The Nice Guys, I was saying to herself about watching that because I loved it. I went to see that in the theaters when it came out.
Oh, really?
And I stuck on the trailer for her, and I was looking at it kind of going, holy shit, they basically give away the entire film throughout the trailer. Like when you've seen the movie and you know what happens, I was sitting there going, oh God. So I stopped it. She's like, why'd you stop that? I was like, it's showing way too much. Like, you know, I literally saw like the last 2 minutes of the movie in the trailer. I was like, for fuck's sake.
God damn.
It's ridiculous. But I find that though, sometimes when you watch a trailer and you know they're giving away too much, especially I think of comedy movies, then you know that's going to be about as funny as it's going to get.
Yeah.
You know, so
I try not to watch the trailers for a good amount of the Marvel movies or the Star Wars stuff that comes out. It's like, no, because I don't want to know what is going to. I know this, and this is going to happen, but I don't want to know anymore.
Yeah.
That was what was so good about the Cabin in the Woods. You remember? Have you seen Cabin in the Woods?
Yeah, I love that film.
You go back and watch the trailer. You don't know what the fuck that movie's going to be about. They show a bunch of random things. It's like, what am I going to go watch? And it's completely different than what you thought you were going to get.
Yeah,
I did not.
Fantastic film.
I did not plan on talking about this when we started, but that's the way conversations go. Anyway.
Segues.
Yes. So a few things before we actually get started. First off, again, a call to action, asking our listeners to please email us, torturepod@gmail.com. Let us know you're listening and what your thoughts are on the show. If email isn't your thing, go to our socials, Twitter, Instagram, and now the Hive app, which I haven't really done a whole lot with. I've put our stuff on there. We're on TikTok too. But I don't really do a whole lot on there either. But we're at
Tactics.
The Tactics. We're at Torture Pod on all of those. You can message us, talk to us, let us know that you're out there. I've seen a few people have commented on some of the stuff that we've posted on there. I can't go through every single comment, so if you want message us. That's the best way. Actually, DM us. You can go to our link tree on our socials and leave a donation, or go buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/torturepod. Help us keep the red light on, which is on, by the way. Again,
yay,
it's on.
It'll help towards my new shock mount.
Help towards your new shock mount. It'll give us enough money. I can get a neon sign that says when we are on the air, so Dan can know for sure that I'm recording. Again, the first 100 that email us, message us, leave a donation, rate and review, we'll get a call out on the show. Just like Joey from the Please Don't Follow Me Home podcast, who emailed us after our last show. She says, "Hey, Dan and Kevin. Joey here from Please Don't Follow Me Home. I really hope you're all getting emails coming in, but I do hope to be the first. She was. I am not sure if it's a real torture method. I think it is, but I saw it on Game of Thrones. What can you tell us about rats eating their way through your body while you're still alive? Thanks, guys. Best, Joey. Again, I can't wait for the YouTube videos to start up with our faces, because some of the...
yeah.
Yeah. So I
don't know what it is about that. Sorry, I was going to say
no, go ahead.
Rats eating things. Like, I remember seeing that in other movies and shows and stuff like that. I must double check which ones, but it's always something that completely freaked me the hell out, but I also thought it was absolutely amazing and fascinating. And it's like, when we talked about doing this as well, it's kind of like, oh yeah, we're probably going to have to cover that, because I've seen somebody doing it with a bucket at one stage and a blowtorch and something. I can't remember what movie it was. I'll have to double check. But anyway, yeah, so we can talk about that later on. But,
I can't remember what it was I saw, but like a guy gets stuck in a sewer pipe or something, and rats are let loose, and they go straight for his face, and yeah, he doesn't last very long. So I emailed her back, let her know that rats were indeed used on people as torture method in various ways. But what she is alluding to was a scene in Game of Thrones. Spoilers, if you haven't seen it, and though probably 7 or 8 years it's been out.
Sort your fucking life out.
Yeah, where the rat is placed on the stomach of a person, then a pot is placed over the rat. The pot is heated up with coals, and in order to escape the growing heat, the rat burrows its way through the only soft surface it can find, the human. So with teeth and claws, it rips open the abdomen of the man, causing severe damage, leading almost always to a very painful death. This was a very real torture method, and one of the few we will cover next year when we cover rat torture. So we're going to have a series.
How about Rat Month? Like Discovery Channel Shark Month, but it's going to be Rat Month.
We'll have to come up with graphics.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a series going where we discuss animals used in torture. Not animals being tortured, because that would be fucked up. But animals used in torture. Kind of like when we talked about crushing last time with the elephants being used.
Yeah, but like, animals, so talking about human beings being tortured. Okay for you, but talk about animals. No. There's the line is drawn. And
it's like a movie's great until an animal dies, and then I can't have a hard time watching.
That's true, actually. Yeah, even video games.
Yeah. So we're gonna have a series that will go on through the course of the show, where we'll focus on one or two animals an episode, and then we'll go a couple months without doing it, and then we'll do another one. I wasn't going to do rats yet, but since Joey brought it up and seemed interested in it, I will bump it up to the very first one we cover when we finally do cover that. Again, sometime fairly early next year. The second thing we need to get to is, Dan, I believe you promised our listener a song. I think she wants it played through a pickle. Have you figured that out yet?
What? True. I haven't got any alligator clips, right? But here's the thing, is that just to cover my own ass here for a second, right? Sure. As I've already discussed with you, right? So, again, as I said already, the song will not be long. It will not be of good quality. But the other side of it is that I've never written a song for a woman before, and I feel that I should write a song for my wife before I write this song, because otherwise I'll be doing my wife a severe injustice. So I will be getting to it very soon. But here's the thing I put to you, my good sir, is that we will send that song on to Joey privately, and then if people want to subscribe to our Patreon, then they can get access to the song on there.
That's a way to go about it. That might work.
You want my song? Give me some money, people. Except for Joey, you get it for free. Thank you.
Joey gets it for
Thank
free.
you, Joey.
That's
I ain't working for free except for with Joey. So thank you, Joey.
That's great. Yeah. You had said something about writing a song for your wife, and I was like, that's a good idea, because my wife would also be upset if I wrote a song for another woman, regardless of it's only because she happens to be a listener and messaged us. So yeah, probably not a bad idea. You had said something about you had found a guitar pedal that you could put various liquids in, and
I don't own it. It's expensive,
right?
But
I figured
it's They're pretty cool. Yeah. So the whole thing is for anybody who hasn't copped on yet, but me playing the guitar and being a slight bit of a nerd, but not enough of one really, with pedals, is that there's a pedal by a company, if for any other guitarists out there, called Ranger Effects, and they have a little vial in the pedal that you can pour liquid into, and basically anything conductive. It's the whole idea of it is that it's anything conductive that electronic signal can pass through, and that changes how it sounds.
Mm-hmm.
So we could put beer, mayonnaise, if you wanted, like you could play Smashing Pumpkins mayonnaise through a guitar pedal that has mayonnaise in it.
It would be the whitest song ever.
Yeah.
Well, you had said put pickle juice in there, and I had said something about Kool-Aid, and you thought that had been done, and then I said, I bet if you played it through Tang, it would sound like porno music. And you had asked me what that was. Do you know what Tang is?
Yeah, I didn't know. Now, I'm assuming it's some form of drink. Is it?
Yeah, it's so when I'm sure somebody's out there is going to correct me. It's a powdered orange drink that the astronauts took with them when they went to space. So it was kind of a way for them to get citric acid when they went to space, because it would, be too much.
Healthy Kool-Aid.
Yeah. I love Tang. I haven't had it for fucking forever because of some shit that we did with it when I was a teenager that we will not get into. But I love Tang.
Your hair with it.
Tang. No, you probably could. Tang is delicious. The reason it would sound like porno music is because over here, and I'm sure this is probably a very American thing, Tang was a slang term. It was the shortened version of what a lot of males called women genitalia in the 90s and early 2000s. When we called it, I can't believe in a podcast in 2022 I'm about to say these words. We called it poontang.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we know that word.
Okay.
Yeah.
Poontang. Yeah. And The Rock made it even, The Rock and WWF at the time, he made it even more famous when he said he liked to eat poontang pie.
That was during the thingy era, wasn't it?
The Attitude Era.
Attitude.
Yes, I apologize to all. Yes, I apologize to all the women that just had to hear me say that. But yes, that got shortened down to Tang. So when anybody said Tang, everybody else automatically thought of, that. And I sent you a picture of the movie Pootie Tang.
E-Tang.
Which was directed by Louis C.K.
We're talking about that. I sent you a picture of it. No way.
The movie. I sent a picture of the movie Pootie Tang.
That's okay.
Which was directed by Louis C.K. I did not realize that.
I was going to say, you didn't. If you were sent me a picture of the other thing, you didn't need to have obviously seen.
I've seen
some. So
yeah. Louis C.K. obviously got in a lot of trouble for masturbating in front of women without their consent. So
I've never liked that guy. Even before that shit,
I fucking loved him until I found out about that stuff. I was like, God damn it. He was one of my favorite comedians. I always thought he was super funny. And I actually had my wife listen to some of his stuff while we were driving around. She laughed her ass off. And then I found out about that. She was like, God damn it.
Found the name of that pedal now. It's called the Ranger FX Mini Bar.
Oh, I get it. I see what they did there.
Liquid analyzer. That's pretty cool. You have to clean it out every time, though. Like, speaking of cleaning out electronics, our child was washing the dishes yesterday, and he decided he wanted to listen to music through his PlayStation. So instead of playing it through the TV, he brought his controller with its headset across to the sink with him, and he dropped the controller for his brand new PS5 into the basin filled with water.
God damn it.
So, children, he has also started his own podcast.
Yes, I was going to mention that later. Go ahead. Go talk about it.
Oh, well, they call it the MIU Podcast, but it's spelled MIU. It's a play on, I don't know if anybody over in American side of the pond you probably know of Cristiano Ronaldo, but
yes.
It's his goal celebration is he says "Su," which is Portuguese for yes. and it's a play on that, spelled SIU. So they spelled MIU for moo, and it's a cow thing. But
and it's pronounced
so it's
Ronaldo.
It's not as bad as the way you used to be pronounced. Was it Pele? I always thought that was funny. We say Pele, but it's Pele. Pele. But the subject of it is absolutely anything they think of in that very moment. So it tends to meander back and forth all over the place.
Yeah, you had said wherever their goldfish brains take them.
Yes,
you told me about it. I was like, that's pretty good.
Well, you know what teenagers are like, so.
Yeah,
it sounds pretty good. They're getting on pretty well so far. 2 episodes in.
Yeah,
great reaction.
Got fucking merch
everybody in their schools are listening to it. Yeah, no.
They're ahead of us. They got fucking merch.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start sorting something out to do with merch as well.
Yeah, I've been working on some stuff. It's been hard. I've been working fucking nonstop for the past month.
And before we actually get into the subject as well, there's one thing I told you that I had a little surprise.
You did
of something I found. So 2 things sitting here, right? One of them, you can't obviously have yet, right? But when we talked about the whole thing about sending like Irish food packages and all that stuff back and forth, right? So I gotta turn up my mic for a second because it's gonna make a load of noise. So that's second.
Okay.
Right. So first things up is something that you will get sent.
Okay.
And that you should look up because it's just absolutely amazing. Right? It's by a company called O'Donnell's. Make crisps, but they are Ballymaloe relish flavored crisps. They're chips, as you all will call them, potato chips.
Call them potato chips.
But which is a very famous kind of, like, you know what relish is?
Yeah.
Yes,
so, we know what relish is.
Yeah. So,
what is the strange pickle-based substance he has sent me?
Yeah, exactly.
Can I play guitar through it?
Yeah, so it's a very famous relish over here, and it's used. I can't remember where I was. It was way somewhere foreign, and they had a thing to do with Ballymaloe relish, and I was like, oh my god, like I absolutely love this stuff. My wife hates it, but they're Ballymaloe relish flavored potato chips.
Yeah.
So. So here's the big one for you now.
Okay.
You're gonna be now. I am never going to buy this again because it is so fucking expensive.
Oh, what, dude?
For what it is, right? Well, I was like, sorry, a bit of ASMR here, right?
That'll be all right. Takis Fuego. We have Takis over here.
Yeah, no, we don't have them here. That's the point.
Oh, don't have them? Oh,
no. This is my first time ever seeing them over here.
Really?
I've never even eaten these ones. They had the blue ones too.
Oh, we have
they're the same flavor.
We have a ton of different flavors over here. Yeah, this is America. But, if you don't have at least 9 flavors of the same exact thing, then you're not going to make it. Yeah.
But these cost like €5 for this little bag.
Fucking hell.
Which they probably cost about like 20 cents or $1 over there. But live on air, I'm gonna sample these. It says easy open right here. And again, you can tell by all the noise. You can tell by all the noise I'm about to make. It's not easy open. It is not.
Anything that says easy open is a farce. It's a lie to your face.
Yeah, right.
He sniffed it.
Put those over there. They remind me of something, and I can't say what it is. Nice.
You like it?
Yeah.
Yeah, my kids love Takis.
What no, that's good. I especially like chili and lime flavored things. So
yeah. Well, my kids love Takis. We were gonna have tacos the other night, and my son was like, oh, "Did they have Takis flavored taco shells at the store?" I was like, "I'm not kidding, Takis. Not everybody wants those." Yeah, America, bud.
I was going to say, like, Christ Almighty, like that's just like pizza flavored pizza bases.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
Well, that was the food portion of the show. Gotta do it at some point.
I bought potatoes yesterday too, if anybody cares.
Some potatoes?
Always buy potatoes.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, my name is Joey, and I'm an amateur ghost hunter.
And I'm Jimmy, the open-minded paranormal skeptic. And this is Please Don't Follow Me Home.
In this podcast, Jimmy and I adventure to haunted places. We also talk about terminology, theories, and beliefs as to why and if ghosts even exist. Join us as we explore the realm of the spirit world as we experience, talk, laugh, and ponder if ghosts walk among us.
New episodes drop every Monday, so subscribe to Please Don't Follow Me Home on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Stitcher.
All right, Dan, let's go back yet again to medieval Europe. Now, let's say you're a known blasphemer.
I am a known blasphemer.
Yeah, I know. That's why it wasn't much of a stretch for this one. Shouting your obvious lies about the cruelty and hypocrisy of the church. You are captured and thrown in the stereotypical dungeon full of devices like the rack, the boot, the breaking wheel. Then, through all the objects they could grab, they come forth with a fairly small, fruit-shaped object. Made of steel, most likely iron, with a screw on top and 3 or 4 leaves on bottom. This device is placed in your mouth, and with the turn of a key, a spring pops loose, and the leaves are forced open to stretch your mouth to the limit. You feel your teeth crack, your cheeks start to rip, and your jaw dislocate. You are a victim of the Pear of Anguish. Of course, in this case, it was usually called the choke pear.
Hold on a sec. I'm sorry. It literally goes from 0 to 100 right off the bat. It's not like they wind it and it gradually opens more.
Well, that's one of the things that we'll actually kind of touch on later. There are plenty of exhibits in museums where it's you screw it open to certain quote unquote notches.
Right.
First, now they say that the first notch is pain and nobody can take the second notch. But from what people have seen or heard in, or read in writings, that especially with the choke pear, for what it was used for when it was first used, it was a spring more than it was a screw open. It screwed closed, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's much worse than I thought it was. I thought it was a gradual thing. It's just...
Yeah. Some of the ones that we'll find later screw open and close. Those were the ones that actually had the spikes attached to them.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah.
God.
So blasphemy, not the only crime that would warrant the punishment of the Pear. Liars, heretics, homosexuals, abortionists, adulterers, women that have had miscarriages, and those accused of course, witchcraft, were all subject to be sufferers of the Pear. It always comes back to fucking witchcraft.
Oh, yeah. And Catholicism.
Yeah. Yeah. Witchcraft and the church. Witchcraft, I mean, they go hand in hand. Like Coke and pears.
Pears made out of Coke.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So for the homosexuals, the pear was placed in the anus and spread wide. For the women, it was placed in the vagina. It was said to have been used extensively during the Spanish Inquisition on women accused of witchcraft. And this one I didn't know until like the 11th hour while I was writing this and we were getting ready to record. Apparently it was used on black slaves on slave ships that refused anal sex to the crew.
Right, okay. That's all kinds of fucked up right there.
I mean, I think they were going through enough, motherfucker. I don't think they need that too.
They didn't give a shit about what they were going through.
No.
Yeah.
It was even said to have had an iteration in America for a short while, although it was vastly different than the European version used by criminals, just like we'll see in France and Holland. It was more like a billiard ball or a sock full of rocks than an actual choke pear. So more of just
a sock full of rocks.
Yeah, it's more of just a gag. A regular gag than an actual choke pear, because you'll find out that the choke pear is a very specific type of device for a very specific reason.
It's going to say classic lazy Americans. So like it's just like, hey, here's this really intricate device here that is like beautifully crafted and it caused an awful lot of pain, even blah blah blah. I got a sock full of rocks.
Well, I got a sock and I got some rocks.
Yeah.
That'll work. Yep, that's us. Where's my hammer? I don't know. Use a wrench. You just see a guy banging on a fucking nail with a wrench. That's America to a T. So the intent was not for death. It was literally used for pure torture. Although some say that many died from the damage done by the pear. Obviously, if you have it shoved up your ass and then spread open wide, it's a good chance you could bleed to death. Not that it wouldn't happen.
Infection.
Yeah, not that it wouldn't happen if it got placed in the vagina, but let's face it, asshole doesn't stretch as far as the vagina does.
It's not designed to.
No, it's not.
I don't think the vagina isn't exactly designed to stretch that far either. But
well, I mean, it can stretch far enough to give birth to a baby, which, I mean, I've seen babies being birthed, and it does not look like fun.
Yeah, I've seen some pretty big-headed babies too.
Yeah,
so it's.
So have I. Mine.
I've said, bring on the pear.
My own. Now, I lost my spot.
Catholic Church, pear.
Many iterations that can be found in museums today have, like I had said, leaves with spikes down them. Now, I mean, they're not like super long, sharp spikes. They're more like long nubs. But those are used in order to maximize impact. Again, probably do more damage inside the anus than it would.
Ribbed for his pleasure. That's what it is.
Some, like we said, were opened by the turn of a screw instead of spring, so the pain could grow slowly over time until the victim confessed, converted, or conformed. Of course, unless they died first, of course. But you know what you should do before you or we die? Email us, torturepod@gmail.com, or message us on socials, Twitter, Insta, Hive, TorturePod. Also rate and review where you can. Go to our YouTube, search for TorturePod.
Tell us what your favorite orifice to place the torture pear into is.
Let's have a conversation. I'm sure that there are some people out there that would do it for fun. I'm not one of them.
Yeah, well, sure. Look.
No.
Each to their own and all that.
Yeah, you rock out with your pear up your ass. That's fine.
Wouldn't be, as we say here, my cup of tea.
Oh, we say that over here too. Except we usually have a really horrible British accent with it.
Oh,
my cup of tea.
It's not, well, I tend to say it wouldn't be my cup on tea, which would be the Irish for it.
Oh, your cup on tea?
Yeah, it's like cup on is one word, CUPAN, even then tea is like TAE or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember how to spell tea. Anyway, something like that, but yeah.
So when did this infamous tool of torment originate? Well, that's the thing. With the earliest writings on the pear of anguish coming from F.D. Calvi, La Vointière Générale de l'Histoire des Laurence, which I'm sure is fucking horrible. Again, my French accent. Oh, oui, baguette. Which
I like cheese and I don't know why.
Ooh, Jerry Lewis. It translated into English, General Inventory of the History of Thieves. Now, this was written in 1639, which attributes the invention to a robber named Capitaine General de Pelluy. Yes, I know that is a couple. Yes, it's a couple hundred years after the medieval times, which we will get to shortly. More than likely, he would have commissioned a blacksmith to build him a pear-shaped object with a spring that released quickly, and you would remove it with a key. You would put a key in, remove the key, the springs would pop forth, shooting the leaves of the choke pear out. And then in order to get the choke pear to go back down, you have to put the key in and screw it until the springs are retracted, pretty much. So what's the purpose of such a device? Well, a ransom, of course. So the idea goes that the very first choke pear wasn't used to torture heretics and blasphemers, but to hold wealthy people hostage and to keep them from calling for help. Apparently, Pelluy, which I'm sure I'm fucking up his name too, would break into the home of a wealthy family or individual.
Sorry, I was going to say, don't worry, he's not here to give out to you for it, so it's all good. Bastardize his name all you want.
They would capture the head of the household, shove the pear in their mouths, and pull the key. The spring would release, and the leaves, pear, would open. The understanding was that with the pear in their mouths, they couldn't call for help. Now, obviously, there's no phone or wire service to call police in the 17th century. So one would either have to send someone for help or go themselves, or simply go outside and scream. It doesn't seem like the pair would keep someone from screaming for help. Probably wouldn't sound quite right. It'd be like, ah! But I mean, you could still scream at least if he let you. Coke Pear. So more than likely, the use was to hold them for ransom. Pay the price for the key to the device, since it was the only way to retract the leaves, at least without losing your teeth. Key would be placed on top of the pair, where it attached to a screw that would pull the leaves back in, freeing the victim from their predicament. Now, of course, just the sight of the pair was said to be enough to make you pay up. And that was the whole thing that him and some other, again, this is all conjecture, but him and some other thieves. So it was 100% success rate with this. Half the time you don't even need to use it. They see it and they fork over everything they have. So
that seems to be a thing with some of these, like we've discussed before. Seems to be like a designed for scare tactics.
Yeah, we have covered like the head crusher.
Like the head crusher.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
You want to get in that? Not really. Convert. Yeah.
Again, another very simple looking thing that will put the shits right up you, as opposed to something that's overly complicated, I think.
Just the rack, something simple like that, or just a hammer to the foot is going to do is going to be simpler and just as much
or
damage.
A sharp stick.
Yeah, poke him in the fucking eye. So it seems as though the pair made its way through France and even Holland during the 17th century, being used by criminals in this way. However, it falls out of history till about the mid-19th century. Now comes the time where I break a few hearts. So as we discussed in our Head Crusher episode, like we had just mentioned, they keep pretty detailed records of torture and punishment. And from what historians have found, or not found, there is actually no record of the Pear of Anguish ever being used for the purpose of torture and punishment. The use of them...
That's because nobody could talk after. That's why.
So the use of them for crime in the 17th century is also pure speculation, even if there was slightly more evidence to point towards their actual use then than there is torture device in the Middle Ages. I was generally upset when I read that there's a very good chance that these things just weren't used for torture, period. That all the ones you see now in museums were just kind of made and sold.
That's kind of, well, let's go say that kind of sucks. But...
I mean, good for all of them who didn't have it used on them. They don't know what they missed, but it's still
true.
That was the exact same way when I found out the Iron Maiden wasn't actually used on people. It's like, man.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it was just like some really fancy purse, because if you look at it, it looks like you could hold things, and then you pop it open and it lets all your money out. Like, you imagine walking into a shop and you're like, I want to buy this thing. And it's like, yeah, that's like $5, whatever, and which back then was like $2,000, and you have nothing but coins, and you're like, all your coins
coin
out.
Purse.
It could have been a fancy money box. Like, yeah, that's, you know.
If anybody's seen our new logo, Dan had mentioned to me a while back about doing some stuff with like making a T for our logo and adding some stuff to it and doing something neat. And he had mentioned maybe doing like a Pear of Anguish on there in the T. And I said, think that might make it look like it had a pair of balls. And I stand by that statement. So I feel like it probably would.
Now it just has one ball.
It just has the one bloody ball.
So it's like the Hitler of letter T's. We have no association with Hitler whatsoever. We do not condone anything he ever did or any of that stuff. He's an absolute complete and utter prick. He can go fuck himself.
And Kanye West.
Just in case anybody turns around and says anything as if I meant anything positive about that, because just because he had one ball.
So historian Chris Bishop of the Australian National University, no, I will not be doing a Australian accent. It's just shrimp on the barbie, mate. There you go. I got it out of the fucking way.
Fuck was that?
I've come to the realization that my accents, even when I do them well, are still subpar. So instead of like honing my craft, if I ever do the voiceover stuff, which I hope to get into at some point, I will work hard on it. But instead of really like getting it down and good, I'm going to lean pretty far into the horribleness of my accents and do them just as outrageous as fucking possible. So
sure, why not?
Yeah.
So nearly cartoonish.
Yes.
At
So
all
French, sure. Australian, fine. Not Asian or African, Middle Eastern,
Or,
Indian,
as we've discussed
or
before.
Or Hispanic, because again, I'm very white, and that will not go
What's
over
wrong with
well.
doing that? Well, look, Hispanic accents, I don't know. You know,
Well, maybe Spanish, but not Mexican.
my name is Daniel Urigan. Ooh. You know, stuff like that, like, you know, would be absolutely fine, I think. They're the best Antonio Banderas Puss in Boots
Yes.
impersonation you can do, but yeah, I don't know. That's not, yeah, we've already talked about this before. And it's pretty much, yes, we can do as many Caucasian race accents as we so wish.
Yes. If the country is mostly white, I do not feel bad about doing a horrible impression of their voice. If it
Can you do a Russian accent?
probably, but it would take me. Moose and squirrel.
Yes, comrade. Who are you, comrade? Question. That was terrible. I don't know, but I can actually usually do one pretty decently. Not on the spot, obviously. But anyway,
That's all right. Now, so anyway,
I'll keep practicing.
he took an example of the pear from a museum and studied its construction. Again, he's a historian. Now, through his observations, he argues the construction of the oldest pear indicates it sprang open and screwed closed, as opposed to being screwed open. And the workmanship exceeded that expected from a torture device, and that the workmanship is just too well done to not be a more recent invention. Bishop goes on to say that the pear's rise to prominence as a medieval torture device originated with the misidentification of an ornate pear donated to the Louvre in 1856 as the device described in the 17th century story about Peruli's gag. Bishop says in his paper, The Pear of Anguish, Torture, Truth, and Dark Medievalism from the International Journal of Cultural Studies. Now, it's kind of a long quote, so bear with me. Again, no Australian accent. Quote,
Ripper.
there are very few genuine examples of a Pear du Gouas, or Pear of Anguish, from which to build our analysis. We have no clear statement as to what these items might have been, only a connection drawn between an obscure exhibit in the 19th century collection and a spurious histoire from 2 centuries before. That connection having been made, all subsequent sources agreed, and before long, a sham industry was established which simultaneously fed off and reinforced the hypothesis by fabricating and retelling new, quote, artifacts. The Maldorite reproductions that populate the more tawdry museums can tell us nothing about the origins or purpose of the original. They are indicative only to our own dark desires and secret fears. We can say that original devices themselves could not predate the 16th century and are, in all likelihood, younger even than that. Despite numerous attempts to do so, they cannot be considered, quote, medieval. They are, in every way, very modern inventions. Certainly they were not used for torture. They are far too elegant and made with too much care for that. One could imagine them as a surgical instrument, some sort of speculum perhaps, or a device for levering open the mouth in order that a dentist might operate. But then they could just as easily be shoe extenders, sock stretchers, or glove wideners. So
some gloves and some socks. If that's the case.
So
My
you
God.
imagine, like, so Jon Stewart, who used to host the Daily Show, put out a book called Earth. And what it was just a book that he wrote to leave for when when the entire world's population is wiped away and the aliens finally come, so they can know what Earth was like before people got wiped off the face of the earth. I kind of think of that when I think of this, because you got to imagine, like, some cobbler or glove salesman in the 18th century who has these, what we call now the pair of Anguish, and literally their only use is to make it so gloves fit better on people. And we're looking at it and go, oh my God, I bet they put it up people's asses.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty hilarious. It's automatic human assumption there, obviously.
It either has to...
It's like, it was either used for pain, or it's
or
like either used
pleasure
to kill it or fuck it.
Yes, I bet they put it up people's asses.
You can eat it, kill it, or fuck it. We don't care.
I bet they put it up people's asses. To torture them? Maybe.
Bet you it was just a method of transporting nuts and other small foods.
Yes.
You see what you mean, though? Like, it looks, to me, if you look at, there's the picture that if anybody Googles it, they go to Wikipedia.
We'll have some pictures on our
the first
Instagram,
picture,
too.
but the second picture. Yeah, so it's, I don't know, you can see it as being some form of device for holding something.
Yeah.
Or something like, yeah, I don't know about the whole glove thing, because for me personally, I don't know, because it's the way the end's angled in.
Sure.
I don't think it really makes much sense for some of those applications, but that being said, it kind of the way it's angled in also doesn't make much sense for applying up the ass either, because it's the thick end goes in first, which would be very difficult.
Yeah, that'd be kind of hard to get in. Plus, once the thick end is in, it tapers down. So the part that you're really wanting to stretch, which I'm guessing is the actual hole itself, wouldn't get stretched as much as the inside, and the colon can obviously stretch more than, the rectum.
Yeah.
Like the same with the vagina, the part that you're wanting to stretch out.
I think,
it
might have been some form of gynecology device.
Maybe. But he says that the what I had read is that the springs that were inside these things were nowhere near strong enough to open any bodily orifice to the point of death or even extreme pain. I mean, these aren't like garage door springs where it'll rip you in half. These are just, springs made in the fucking 17th, 18th, 19th century. Now, the ones that...
Which aren't really springs.
Yeah. So the ones that would open with a screw, those would be more along the lines of something you could use to torture somebody. But again, the Catholic Church, people who use torture as a method, they usually didn't go out of their way to be inventive with it. What they have record of and the things they used the most were literally things just made out of wood that they could hit you with a hammer.
Yeah.
The breaking wheel. They literally tied you to a wheel and then hit you with a fucking hammer. Yeah. So, I mean, them going out of their way to have these ornate, beautiful pieces of steel made just to cause pain, when you look at it, it does seem
posh torture. That's what it is.
Yeah,
highbrow torture.
You're gonna torture aristocrats. Like, do not touch me with that wood. I want the pair of Anguish.
Or nothing, bitch.
Don't my ass. That was an amalgamation. That was an amalgamation of a few different accents. I apologize for that.
Yeah. That really sounded like you went French to Dutch. Just
we play a game.
It's nice.
Me and my wife and my kids called Dr. Magnet Hands. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it's
Dr. Magnet
Hands. Grant Howlett, who has created countless games, created this, and it's played best with drunk adults or children.
Okay.
So the premise is what you do is everybody writes down something on a piece of paper. They get like 8 pieces of paper each, and you write down something. It literally doesn't matter what you write down. You can be as specific as you want or as nondescript as you want. But it can literally be anything. It could be a name. It could be an object. It could be a color. It could be, again, it could be, I tell my kids all the time, like, you can write down vacuum cleaner, or you could write down Roomba that can fly, but only when you play show tunes on a violin. It literally can be anything you want. You write it down, put it in a hat, right. Take all these things, you put them in a hat or a bag or whatever. And then everybody reaches in and grabs one at a time. And you do this 4 times. And then I'm getting way too into this just to describe the one little thing that I need to. And then you kind of do like a Mad Libs type thing where you start creating this story. So Dr. Magnet Hands lives on the moon, and he has planned to destroy the Earth or destroy America or wherever on Christmas Day with his rocket ship castle that he has on the moon. And your kids are drunk adults or whatever. They are a band of superheroes that has to stop him. They already know the whole premise of this. It's like, he's going to send supervillains down to stop you, to kill you before you can stop him. So what you have to do is you have to stop them from stopping you. You have to find out why they're there. Okay. You have to find a way to get to the moon, and you have to find a way to stop Dr. Magnet Hands. You will stop Dr. Magnet Hands, but you will not kill him, because if you kill him, we can't play again. You know the whole premise, but your characters don't, so they have to figure it out as they go along. So the first thing is, when you come to what your name is, you open up one of those sheets, and whatever that sheet is, that's your fucking name. And then you come to a superpower, and whatever you open is, that's your superpower. And it's a really fun game, but I go through all that shit to get to when I play Dr. Magnet Hands, because I always play Dr. Magnet Hands. My kids insist on it. He has to have an odd European accent. And I say he lives in the northwest part of the southeast if you go southwest by northeast. Okay. and Dr. Magnet Hands, and his voice is always changing, and his accent is always going through different variations of and my kids fucking love it. So when I just did that weird accent about 5 minutes ago when I started describing this game, that's what came to mind is, holy shit, I'm turning into Dr. Magnet Hands during the podcast.
Sounds like a great game.
Dude,
I'm gonna have to play it and do a really terrible German accent.
Did you find it online? Ooh, I have it on my phone. I'll send it to you.
Just magnethands.fun is something else. Can you do it online or something?
Maybe that might be. I have his instructions for what he wrote down. I will send it to you. So, a group of kids or drunk adults. Nothing else will work. It's got to be a group of kids or drunk adults. Sober adults aren't going to be as fun. But man, it's a laugh fucking riot. We bumped it up from everybody getting 4 cards to everybody getting 8 cards so we can play for longer. The last time we played, I played with me, my wife, and all 6 of our kids, and it took us probably 2 hours to play, and it was the best time we had in fucking forever. Look up Dr. Magnet Hands, everybody. I'll post the thing on our Instagram because he has it out there for free. I don't think you have to pay for it. If you do, then obviously I won't, but it's fucking fun. All right.
I see a thing here to do with a free PDF thing. So must be free.
Yeah. So anyway, whatever the case, the Pear of Anguish lives forever in the minds of those that study and research these tools of terror, whether they are as real as the Rack or as fake as the Iron Maiden. Dan, as far as the Pear of Anguish goes, were you able to find, and I know there's some pop culture stuff out there, but I didn't really look. Were you able to find anything while you were listening to me ramble about a game I play with my kids?
Well, there's no Tay-Tay songs again, so sadly we are no longer, we're dead even since the search for Tay-Tay songs began, insofar as 2 wins and 2 fails. But according to, I didn't realize this, that with IMDb, you can do a search with keywords for references within films and TV shows, and will bring up any TV shows or films or anything that have mention of those words. And Pear of Anguish is one of them that I threw in. And torture is another specific one. Ooh, and female rear nudity is another. I'm just looking at what's listed here, people. Right, so apparently there's a film called The Torture Club. It doesn't specifically state where that happens in it, but it's like I'm not sure. Yeah, that's not kid friendly.
I wouldn't think.
Awful lot of Japanese stuff, awful lot of nudity in it, but it looks nice. But there's a couple of other films and a couple of mentions within TV shows, like where's this Criminal Minds apparently had something to do with it. The Borgia, a TV series that had mention of it. That makes sense. It was in France.
That makes sense.
But yeah, I couldn't really come across anything else other than that. It seems to be fairly limited, aside from the odd little reference here and there and books. You know, so very boring on my end, sadly.
That's all right. With this show, I imagine at some point we're going to get looked into by like Homeland Security or Interpol or something for what we look up on our fucking computers.
Yeah.
Because you just go to IMDb and be like, Pear of Anguish. Because I want to see it.
It's like, hey, NSA, watch The Torture Club. Let us know if it's good. Email us at torturepod.
We know you're listening. We know you're watching us right now.
Yeah. Like and subscribe, like everybody else should.
I mean, as long as you're going to listen and watch our cameras, you might as well give us credit for it. So, fuck, I want it in our analytics, for God's sakes.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know what obviously I don't know our full things about our analytics, but I always think it's funny, when you see, or crazy even really, when you see like YouTube channels that you're subscribed to or whatever, and they throw up their analytics, and it's like, I notice like 80% of my viewership aren't subscribed and all this stuff, and it's kind of like,
yeah,
why would you not subscribe if you're regularly watching these
things? Yeah. If I listen to a podcast more than twice, or if I go to a YouTube channel more than twice, I subscribe. Yeah. If I listen to it like once or twice, just to see what it's like, and be like, nah, not for me, then obviously you're not gonna subscribe. But if you're gonna listen to more than 2 episodes or watch more than 2 videos, fucking subscribe to the people. I don't,
Yeah, exactly. Like, why not? Yeah. Like,
unless like Ben Shapiro or Jordan Peterson.
I can subscribe to us. Yeah, stay the hell away from that guy. Yeah, personal opinion and all that, but yeah. Speaking of, I forgot. Apologies to Joey right now. I'm only getting to. Don't follow me home. I had it here, and hold on a second. Don't follow me home, and I hadn't clicked follow yet, but now I have. So officially following it there now, because I had it up earlier on my phone, and my phone doesn't automatically copy over what I've done on my computer one for some reason.
Really?
I don't know what it is. So
yeah, I've been following them for ever since we contacted one another to swap promos, which is a podcast thing. If you don't have a podcast, that's something that some independent podcasters do, is we swap promos, try to help everybody out. I've been listening to their episodes, off and on ever since then, and I enjoy it. They're fun. I think you really like it. Speaking of which, we want to thank the Dying to Be Found podcast for starting off our show. You can find a link to their show in our show notes. And a big thanks again to Joey from Please Don't Follow Me Home. We'll have their link in our show notes as well. Please get a hold of us. Message us on socials, Twitter, Instagram, Hive, @TorturePod. Email us, torturepod@gmail.com. Rate, review wherever you can. Donate to our Linktree account. Go to buymeacoffee.com/torturepod. If you think we do a good enough job and deserve a little bit of money for it. Again, first 100 will get a shout out on the show.
Like Joey did.
Yes. And hopefully she...
Forever go down in history as number 1.
Yeah, Joey's number 1. Joey's number 1. Yeah. Joey's number 1. Which means the next...
Joey. Go Joey.
Which unfortunately means the next person will be a big number 2. We apologize for that. Go to our YouTube if you like using YouTube for podcast. I'll link again in our show notes, or you could just search for Torture Pod, one word. And while you're piddling around on YouTube, go find Dan's son's podcast, the MIU Podcast, right? MIU?
Yeah, MIU.
MIU.
Yeah, but they're also on Spotify now.
Oh,
So,
great.
yep.
They have merch. Buy some from them.
They haven't got up for sale yet. So they went into town and basically bought plain white t-shirts and drew on them for themselves, which is
But you know what?
brilliant.
They
More than we've done.
they go with the podcast. They do.
Yeah.
So if you and you know what? I'll throw a picture up of that shirt that you sent me so everybody could see what it looks like. That shirt looks like you know exactly what type of podcast you're getting when you see that shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you'll know exactly what you're getting within 3 minutes of listening to it. Too, so
Also, go check out the Sassholes on Instagram and see the cats that crawl all over Dan while we're recording, which I haven't seen any today.
Today, no, they haven't come in today. I don't know why. But
Usually they're all over you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Promote that on Poopy Records. That's another one for us now. I created a joke Instagram page, which
Satirical.
is aimed to be like a satirical take on those horrible promotional bots. And it's called
Promoted on
Poopy
Reality Records.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
sort of
Again,
assholes.
If you listen to the show and you're not a podcaster, you'd have probably no idea what we're talking about, but there are people called podcast promoters. And anytime you try to promote your own podcast, they make sure to sneak in and ask you to promote it with them. I made the mistake of clicking on one of them one time to see what it was all about, and they charge you out the ass to simply promote your podcast. And now every time I post something for Torture, they are the very first ones to respond, saying, promote it on promote it on So Dan decided to make a satirical one called Poopy Records. And we've been having a lot of fun with it. Dan's been having more fun because apparently he's been talking to himself on Instagram.
It's the greatest way to promote yourself as well. You know, it's the 3 accounts having a conversation.
Yeah.
You know, as I said already, it was really funny the way one of those spammy bot assholes messaged me on my spammy bot asshole satire page saying he wants to promote my page.
You should have let
it's
him.
Like, the irony of it all. Brilliant. I don't need you to boost my numbers. I'm going to sit here on 2 followers and be happy with that.
Big number 2 for Poopy Records. Hint for our next episode. It's beginning to look a lot like murder.
Ooh.
And hopefully we'll have a special guest with us, much like Santa. He's jolly and from the Great White North. I guess I should say that. Well, I guess I should use a different accent. He's from the Great White North, eh? You hoser.
What's the next episode about, eh?
What's it about? Oh, I shouldn't call you guys a hoser. We're just trying to have fun. It's fun. Having fun's what it's all about, you know. You either lead into the strange brew hoser accent, or you go South Park with it. Hey, buddy, what are you talking about, buddy?
You're not my buddy guy.
Canada has repeatedly apologized for Bryan Adams, buddy. Let me finish. Can I finish? Can I finish? Okay, I'm finished.
I think he's grown that beard, so you can't see the line from his floppy head. You see, that's exactly why he's grown that beard. The particular person we're talking about here.
Okay.
That's what I mean. Sorry, I didn't want to say the name just in case.
Yeah,
we don't know. It's going to be a big surprise.
Hopefully, we're crossing our fingers. And
if any of the listenership have any things they would want covered from that they may know of to do with, let's say, Irish horror stories or anything like that.
Sure.
You know, because I'm going to have to do some research for a couple of episodes for stuff, but as well as that, like I said, it was a couple of the fable type things I wanted to cover at some stage, but also some stuff that actually really happened, like real cases and stuff like that, of not necessarily devices, but of just incidents of things happening.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we're gonna have plenty of those, just like solitary instances of torture being used on a person that has that's not specific method or device, but it's one person going through or a handful of people going through this.
Yeah, like Dimple Dick Bob.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Just like Joey did. Email us. If you have a torture method or device that you want to ask us about, more than happy to cover that. I wasn't going to cover rat torture until much later, but she brought it up, so it's getting bumped up the line. It'll be sometime next year, but we'll get to it sooner rather than later.
Yep.
All right. Well, sorry to break any hearts that really love the Pear of Anguish. I didn't. If you got that Pear of Anguish tattoo and you want to get it removed now, I don't know. I apologize. Didn't mean to ruin it for you. But that's all I got.
I was gonna say it's heartbreaking that it didn't break as many asses as it's supposed to have. Allegedly.
People are gonna leave from this podcast just downtrodden and depressed. What's wrong? Pear of Anguish wasn't real, man.
Yeah, you're saying it's about torture, but you're covering a thing that just held gloves for somebody.
All right. Well, I think that's it. So come back next time, guys. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.